Hello everyone. Today I will talk about how the novel The Great Gatsby has been reinterpreted across different media and why it continues to be relevant today. In 2024, the musical adaptation of The Great Gatsby premiered on Broadway and attracted significant attention. This production was mainly created by Korean men, and it has been recognized as one of the major examples of a K-musical entering the Broadway. While K-pop, K-dramas, and Korean films have already achieved global popularity, the arrival of a Korean-produced musical on Broadway is especially meaningful. Broadway is considered the center of the global musical industry, so entering Broadway represents an important cultural achievement. This musical shows that the Korean performing arts industry now has the production power to compete on the world stage. It also demonstrates how a classic novel can be reinterpreted through a new cultural perspective. In this way, The Great Gatsby is more than just a classic novel. It is a story that continues to be reimagined across time, cultures, and media. In this presentation, I will first explain what literature is, then introduce the novel itself, discuss its themes and meanings, and finally examine how it has been adapted into a musical. What is literature? Before discussing the novel, I want to briefly consider what literature is. Um, Literature is defined as imaginative works of poetry and prose distinguished by the intentions of their authors and the perceived aesthetic excellence of their execution. Deriving from the Latin word, a letter of the alphabet. Literature is first and foremost humankind's entire body of writing. After that, it is the body of writing belonging to a given language or people. Then it is individual piece of writing. As an art form, literature can be described as the organization of words to give pleasure, yet it transcends mere enjoyment, transforming and enriching human experience. It excludes primarily informational texts, for example, cookbooks, technical manuals, unless these exhibit artistic or literary merit. Now, let's look at now. mm, Many literary critics have described the importance of literature. For example, Ezra Pound said that great literature is simply language charged with meaning to the utmost possible degree. This means that literary language carries deeper meaning than ordinary language. C.S. Lewis also argued that literature does not simply describe reality, but adds to it and enriches human life. In other words, literature helps us understand the world and ourselves in deeper ways. Through stories, characters, symbols, literature explores emotions, social issues, and meaning of human existence. Now, let us look at the Great Gatsby itself. Great Gatsby is a novel written by American author Fitzgerald and published in 1925. The story is set in New York during the Jazz Age, a time of economic growth, luxury, and social change. It follows Jay Gatsby, a self-made millionaire who tries to reunite with his former lover, Daisy Buchanan. This story is told by the narrator, Nick Carraway, who observes Gatsby and the people around him. Through Nick's perspective, readers can see the glamorous but morally empty world of the wealthy elite. Interestingly, the novel was not very successful when it was first published. However, it was rediscovered after World War II and is now considered one of the greatest works of American literature. Today, it is often called the Great American Novel because it captures the dreams, illusions, and contradictions of American society. You can read the full text from Gutenberg and Fitzgerald Society website for free. So these are the recommended sites for author. It's about the author Fitzgerald. Um, Fitzgerald is best known for The Great Gatsby and Tender is a Night. He also wrote novels, stories and essays, letters, poems, and comedy. Main themes are ambition and loss, discipline, self-indulgence, love and romance, and money and class. And considered a failure in his lifetime, yet recognized as one of the great voices of American modernism. So, what are the main themes of this novel, The Great Gatsby? First, explores the issue of class and privilege. Gatsby becomes extremely wealthy, but he is never fully accepted into the traditional upper class. This shows that money alone cannot erase social boundaries. Second, the novel presents the illusion of the American dream. Gatsby believes that wealth and success will allow him to recreate the past and win Daisy's love. However, the story reveals that this dream is based on illusion rather than reality. Third, the novel explores hope, memory, and obsession. Gatsby refuses to accept the passage of time. He believes that he can repeat the past and rebuild his relationship with Daisy exactly as it was. Because of these themes, the novel is not simply a romantic story, it is a critique of social inequality, materialism, and unrealistic dreams. These universal themes are one of the main reasons the novel continues to resonate with readers today. So, why? Then why does this novel remain important nearly 100 years later? First, it deals with issues such as race, class, privilege, and hope, topics that are still relevant in our society. Second, Gatsby himself represents the idea that anyone can become anything. He rises from poverty to great wealth, and in this sense, he symbolizes the American dream. However, the novel also questions this dream. It shows that wealth does not necessarily bring happiness, love, or acceptance. Lastly, the story is emotionally powerful. Many readers, especially young people, can relate to Gatsby's ambition, hope, desire, and love to escape their circumstances. Because of these elements, the novel continues to speak to new generations of readers. Um, this is the poster of the Great Gatsby 1974 film. It was directed by Jack Layton. This is a poster of The Great Gatsby, 2013 film directed by Baz Luhrmann. And this is the image of The Great Gatsby, 2024 Broadway, produced by Jun Soo-shin, a Korean man. These are the words from adaptations genre related to adaptation. Um, Adaptations. What is adaptations? Adaptations and appropriations played a formative role in transforming 19th century novels into cultural text, helping them to secure their place in the literary canon. Transformative reimaginings are not simply a change of medium, but reconstitute the very essence of the original, occasioning the literary canon to new meanings and relevance. Film meditation is a new medium in understanding literature. It helps readers, especially young audiences, to grasp the core themes of literary works and fosters wider appreciation. Next page is about literary adaptations. A great many movies are adaptations of literary sources. In some respects, adapting a novel or play requires more skill and discipline than working with an original screenplay. Furthermore, the better the literary work, the more difficult the adaptation. For this reason, many film adaptations are based on mediocre resources, for few people will get upset at the modifications required in film if the source itself isn't of the highest caliber. There are
Mediocre.
many adaptations that are superior to their originals. The Verse of a Nation, for instance, was based on Thomas Dixon's trash novel The Clansman, which is more blatantly racist than the film. Some commentators believe that if a work of art has reached its fullest artistic expression in one form, an
Blatantly.
adaptation will inevitably be inferior. According
Blatantly.
to this argument, no film adaptation of The Catcher in the Rye could equal the original, nor could any novel hope to capture the richness of persona or even Citizen Kane, which is a rather literary movie. There is a good deal of sense in this view, for we've seen how literature and film tend to solve problems differently, how the true content of each medium is organically governed by its forms. These words were from Understanding Movies. Um, For example, one of the biggest differences between the original novel, The Great Gatsby, and the musical adaptation is the change in perspective. In the novel, Nick Carraway is the only narrator. The entire story is told from his point of view, and readers experience the events through his observations and judgments. However, in the musical, multiple characters tell their own stories. Not only Jay Gatsby, but also Daisy Buchanan and Jordan Baker are given their own voices and perspectives. In particular, the role of Jordan Baker becomes much more significant in the musical. She is no longer just a supporting character. Instead, she becomes an active narrator and participant in the story. This change allows the audience to see the story from different viewpoints rather than through a single narrator. As a result, the musical feels more dynamic, emotional, and contemporary. This shows that adaptation is not only about changing the medium form from novel to stage, it also involves transforming the structure, perspective, and focus of the story. The Great Gatsby is a novel about love, class, dreams, and illusions. Because of these universal themes, the story has continued to be adapted into films, plays, and musicals for nearly a century. The Broadway musical version of The Great Gatsby is a recent example of how a classic novel can be reinterpreted through a new cultural lens and presented to a global audience. It represents not only a literary adaptation but also an important moment for Korean performing arts on the world stage. Lastly, The Great Gatsby is a living classic that continues to be reimagined across time and media, and the Broadway musical is the latest chapter um, in this ongoing story. Thank you.